I got a feeling, ooh, that tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. That tonight's gonna be a good night. Yeah, Senna, hey, let's live it up, let's live it up. I got my money, man. Let's live it up, let's live it up. Go out and smashing like oh my, jump off that sofa. Come on, let's live it up. Hello, and today we are doing Championship, no we're not, Bundesliga predictions for Matchday number 24 of the 2020 to 21 season. And we're also going to be doing a review of week 22. That was the song of the weekend. It was, of course, Black Eyed Peas and I Got a Feeling. Great song. The colour of the week, though, is going to be orange. And the theme of the week is How I Met Your Mother. The, of course, Netflix series. No spoilers because we're still watching it. It's an absolute cracking show. Do 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 do. But no, we are doing predictions for the Bundesliga today, and it's going to be interesting. Of course, we've got Der Klassiker, and we've got to look on how we did in the last week. So, yeah, basically there are a lot of games to get through, and I'm going to try and basically look back at last week, see how we did. In short, it's going to take a while. It's going to take a while for me to actually, get this played and get my predictions reviewed for week 22. So bear with me whilst I do that and whilst I look through that. But here it is, the week 24 predictions and the week 22 review. So unfortunately, I can't actually zoom ahead. So
Hello there, and today we're doing Bundesliga predictions for Matchday number 22 of the 2020 to 21. See,
it's just not zooming ahead. Oh, it's just restarted.
Hello there, and today we're doing Bundesliga predictions for Matchday number 22 of the 2020 to 21 season. And today, the theme of the week is moonpig.com.
Don't know what.
That's right. It's not sponsored or anything. It's just Moonpig, all right? Leave it out. But the colour of the week is going to be pink for the pig. And the theme of the week, we just said, the song of the week, for this week is going to be by One Republic. And it's Counting Stars. Lately, I've been loving dreams and sleep.
That's a great song.
Thinking about the things that we could be. But baby, I've been loving, praying hard. Some more counting dollars, we'll be counting stars. Yeah, we'll be counting stars. Dun, dun,
yeah, right. We get it.
Any more you want to know? Well, it's in the description. Hey. Give it a listen. But today we're doing Bundesliga predictions, and it's a big week because I need to bounce back from last week's disappointment. We won't get into it too much. Let's just focus on this week. And the colour of the week. Did we even say that? I don't even know. If we didn't, then oh well. If we did, then I'm still sticking to green. Okay. But Bundesliga time, right? Let's get cracking with this. What are we saying? Well, the first game to do is, of course, between the teams that go by the name of... I like to build a bit of suspense. Do you like this? Yeah. I thought you would. Right? It is going to be, first of all, Armenia against Wolfsburg. And I've got to say, I think...
By the way, the game that I didn't touch back on was that really disappointing one for my predictions where Bayern somehow didn't beat Armenia and it was a 3-3 thriller. And in that week, of course, there was loads of draws. It was crazy stuff, really. But Leipzig got a win there, and we just didn't need to touch on those predictions. But we are touching on the Week 22 ones. Let's resume.
I think this is a Wolfsburg win. So, Armenia 0, Wolfsburg 3. Then we've...
Oh, my days. Did I actually just do that? Armenia 0, Wolfsburg 3. And that's exactly what it was. What a start. 8 points. Come on. 2 from Stefan, 1 from Maximilian Arnold, Beautiful. Now, let's move on to the next one.
And we've got Frankfurt against Bayern Munich. Surely Bayern Munich can win again. Frankfurt 1, Bayern Munich 2.
I do not believe it. Frankfurt have done the unthinkable and beaten title-chasing Bayern. Wow, fair play. No points for me, but congrats to Frankfurt. Incredible. Kamada and Younes in an absolute incredible first half. And Lewandowski, he's typical. He always scores, but he did it again, and it wasn't enough.
Freiburg taking on Union Berlin. I'm going to say 3-1 to Freiburg.
Ooh.
It's Gladbach for...
Ooh, 3-1 to Freiburg. Okay, not about that result, because it was 1-0 to Union Berlin with the goal from Grichka Promel. Yeah, not exactly ideal, but we move on.
Versus Mainz, I'm saying 1-0 to Gladbach. In Köln versus Stuttgart, I'm going with 2...
1-0 to Gladbach. That's not what happened, but Gladbach lost again. They are in the mud at the minute. It's really got to be said. They are struggling. They lost to Mainz, and that's 0 points again for myself. All right, now it's going to be...
2-0 to Köln.
2-0 to Köln? Are you sure about that? Nope, Stuttgart won. Brilliant, brilliant. So, what was an amazing week starts to fall apart. Okay.
I'm going with a big shock as well. Schalke 2, Borussia Dortmund 0.
Now, I called this one, and I don't know what I was thinking, really. 4-0 to Dortmund, no points. Okay. Right, we still stick on 8 points from that correct score in the first game. Oh, dearie me.
All right, I'm just going for it. Augsburg 0, Bayer Leverkusen 3.
Wow, okay. It was 1-1. A lot more even than I thought it would be. So still, just the 8 points. Just that one game we get points from. And let's move on.
Hertha Berlin 0, Leipzig 2. And
oh, it's a close one, but no cigar. Instead, correct result, it was 3 points for me. I said a 3-0. Oh, sorry, a 2-0, and it was 3-0. But a couple of more to go.
And finally, Hoffenheim 1, Werder Bremen 0.
Hoffenheim 1, Werder Bremen 0. Not bad, but the correct result at least. It was 4-0. Unbelievable stuff from Hoffenheim, filling their boots. Bebu, Baumgartner, Dabur, and Rutter. Brilliant stuff. So yeah, it was a pretty weird week in the fact that, a lot of the away teams did do very well and scored lots of goals, with the exception, of course, of Hoffenheim. But generally, yeah, some shocks in there. Bayern losing, Gladbach losing again. They just can't afford to keep dropping points because they will really slide down that table. 2 defeats on the bounce now. They need to get back their consistency. But we did finish on a pretty awful score last week of, I hate to say it, people, but 14. 14 because we got 3 points from that correct result. 3 points again from the result for Hoffenheim. And then 8 points for that 2-1 victory. 3-0 victory for Wolfsburg. So yeah, it's basically got to be a lot better in week 24. But week 24 is around the corner. And that's what we're going to predict right now, people. We're going to skip over week 23, of course. Dortmund winning. That's just classic, really, stuff. Bayern Munich. Okay, right. Bayern Munich. You just need to calm down, all right? You lose, and then you go and hit 5 goals. And another brace from Gnabry. Another brace from Lever. They're just too good, all right? They'll get the title. But let's predict Matchday 24. And Schalke versus Mainz is the first one. Now, ultimately, this should be a comfortable one for Mainz because Schalke have been terrible. But this season's been hard to predict in the Bundesliga, so I'm going for another shock. They didn't do it for me against Dortmund, but I think Schalke can do it against Mainz. Schalke 2, Mainz 1 is what I'm going with. Then it's Freiburg versus Leipzig. Now, Leipzig, come on, they're quality. Freiburg, meh, decent on their day, but, they will struggle versus this very good Leipzig team. Freiburg 1, Leipzig 3. Then it's Gladbach versus Bayer Leverkusen. And ultimately, this is the sort of game that I would see both teams huff and puff. Now, I said about Gladbach, they really do need to just get some results at this point in time because they are struggling and they just seem to struggle to get that momentum. And ultimately, I think that they need to find a way through that form. And I think eventually they will be able to do it with a few points here and there. That'll be one of them. Gladbach 1, Bayer Leverkusen won. So all square there. Then Hoffenheim against Wolfsburg. Now Hoffenheim, fair play. Their win against Werder Bremen was emphatic, if you've ever seen it. A game like that, it really was. But then, of course, the game in the game after was against Union Berlin, and they could only draw with that team, with unfortunate own goal for Nico Schlotterbeck and Max Kuz at the other end with a penalty spot kick. So ultimately, I think Hoffenheim are going to struggle because Wolfsburg, when they play well, they are very, very good, and they have been, fairly ambitious this season. And to be where they are, in the company of Leipzig, in the company of Frankfurt, above Dortmund, they've got to be happy with that. So they will carry on their form, and it will be Hertha Berlin 0. Oh, sorry, wrong game. Hoffenheim 0, Wolfsburg 2. Now it's Hertha Berlin against Augsburg, and I rate Augsburg, I do. So we'll say Hertha Berlin 0, Augsburg 1. We now have Frankfurt versus Stuttgart, and Frankfurt are one of those weird teams that on their day, they can be quality, but ultimately, they can concede. And, Stuttgart aren't that good either. Generally, you'd say that Stuttgart are worse, but I think that they will concede quite heavily here, Frankfurt. Frankfurt 1, Stuttgart 3. And then we've got the biggest game of the week. It's Bayern Munich versus Dortmund. Now, say what you like, this title race has been a bit of a letdown. Dortmund are massively off the pace, and it's just too much of a gap now for them to be probably pegged back. I mean, there's still a decent amount of games to be played, You've got to remember the fact that in Bundesliga, we have 34 match days, so still decent time to go, but it's not looking good, is it? It really isn't looking good, and we're nearly coming up to 11, well, we're coming up to 11 games left of the season, so, Dortmund, they have to do something out of the ordinary to catch up now, and I don't think that they will be able to win this game. Bayern are just so imperious, especially at the Allianz Arena, so we'll say Bayern Munich 1, Dortmund 1. And then it's Köln up against Werder Bremen. Now, this is an interesting one because Werder Bremen, off the back of that Hoffenheim game, will be absolutely wounded. And then the most recent one against Frankfurt, they actually got a massive win where they wouldn't have expected it. Frankfurt had just beaten a very good Bayern Munich team. So, that will give them confidence. And yeah, with Werder Bremen, they do need to steer clear of that relegation zone, but they're doing fairly well to do that. They've got a little bit of a gap now ahead of the other teams with them joint on points with Augsburg, and now it's a bit of a gap to Hertha Berlin now. So yeah, it's 8 points to separate those kind of teams with Werder Bremen. They need to keep that up if they can ensure safety, but I think Werder Bremen are pretty much safe, and they will go into that game next up knowing that and feeling confident for that. So I've got a feeling Werder Bremen can just do it again here against FC Köln. So FC Köln 0, Werder Bremen 2. And then it's Bielefeld against Union Berlin. Now, Bielefeld, they have struggled this season. It's not even a hard thing to observe. But Union Berlin have also been a bit cagey at times. I'm just going to feel that in this first game for Bielefeld, because remember, they've got a rescheduled match. Now, most of these teams, they're not doing so well, but especially with Bielefeld, they have to take this by the horns of the bull, as they say, the scruff of the neck against Union Berlin. So I'll say Armenia Bielefeld 1, Union Berlin 0. And then there's a second game for Bielefeld to wrap up these predictions, and they face Werder Bremen in a pretty big game, I suppose. But Werder Bremen, I suppose they're all right. They probably should be okay for the season because, they've caused that little gap that I talked about. Armenia are obviously joint with Hertha, so it's so big at every point. Schalke, let's be honest, they're dead and buried. Mainz still in it. Armenia still in it. Hertha still in it. You'd say Köln are definitely still in trouble. Augsburg, along with Werder Bremen, need to keep winning to stay out of it, but they're pretty much all right. But a lot could change between now and the end of the season. So ultimately, these kind of games are massive for Armenia, and whoever they play, they have to win. But against Werder Bremen, I don't think they'll be able to. Armenia Bielefeld 1, Werder Bremen 3. And that wraps up my predictions for Matchday 24 of the Bundesliga. I hope you have enjoyed, as well as my Week 22 review. And I shall see you in the next one. Come on, you horns, I'm just about to watch. See you later.